Good morning to one and all gathered here. Here I welcome you all to an auspicious occasion by heartily welcoming our honorable chief guest and HOD professor for the 5th state level inter-institutional physics meet Apeiron 2022. I find it to be my pleasure to address your people who are the young minds of today and the responsible citizens of tomorrow. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to our judges of the today. Now I call upon the participants with their team name. Anjana Sri from Quantum Sphere.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, can I start presenting, ma'am? Good morning to all. I'm Anjana Shri and I'm from Tyagaraja College. And today the topic was a topic that is given to the podcast.
Anjana Sri? Anjana?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Anjana Sri, now
Yes,
you start your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
1 minute for your time.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So, good morning to all. So, initially, the topic that is given for the poster making competition is NATURO PHYSICO, which literally means physics in nature. So, we were told to express the admiring physics behind the nature that we observe. So, the two things that I found fascinating in the nature that had an amazing background with physics concept is the one that I have presented in my poster. So, in the poster, on one side, you could see the morpho butterfly. So, it has that deep blue color that is rare to be found in nature. So we know that in nature, blue is a rare color as a pigment to be found. This is because the organic compounds usually absorb the blue light and emit the rest of the lights like red and green, and thus the blue pigment is really rare to be found in nature. However, this morpho butterfly has this incredible deep blue color due to the wonderful physics behind it. So the reason for the blue color of this butterfly is the scales in the wings of the butterflies.
Time up,
So
Anjana Sri. Excuse me. Time up, Anjana Sri.
Okay, ma'am.
Time up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Next participant is Dinesh Kumaran from Golden Comments.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am? Hello?
Yes, start your presentation.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Good morning, all. Myself, Dinesh from Bishop Keeper College, and I'm going to present my poster on the topic of aurora formation. So let us see how it is forming. So when sun shoots massive ball of plasma which contains some ions into solar winds, one of the ions into the solar winds.
Dinesh Kumar, now start your presentation. Dinesh Kumar,
Yes, ma'am.
please start your presentation, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Please now start your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, all.
Your time is started.
Good morning, all. I am Dinesh from Bishop Keeper College, and I am going to tell how the aurora is forming. So, when sun shoots massive ball of plasma which contains some ions into solar winds, one of the coronal mass injections collides with Earth. It overpowers the magnetosphere and creates some magnetic stroke. The heavy storm stretches the magnetosphere until it snaps back like an overstretched elastic band through some of the dirt particles towards Earth. The retracting band of magnetic field drags them down to the aurora poles. In the ionosphere, the ions of solar winds collide with the atoms of oxygen and nitrogen from the Earth's atmosphere. The energy released during this collision causes colorful glowing at the poles of the Earth. In this diagram, you can see there are the two aurora poles on the northern and the southern poles. So the electrons from the solar winds collide with the air molecules, which contain some oxygen and nitrogen particles, and releases energy in the form of colorful lights. The lights formed in the southern poles is called aurora australis, and the light formed in northern poles is called aurora borealis. These aurora are dimmer than sunlight, so it can be seen in daylight. we can only see this aurora in night. That's all. Thank you for giving this wonderful opportunity.
Thank. Next participant is Divakar. Stella.
Hello, ma'am, can you hear me? Ma'am, shall I present? Hello? Ma'am, I'm receiving your voice, bro.
Divakar, start your presentation now.
Hello?
Hello, Divakar. Divakar, please start your presentation.
Am I audible?
Your time starts.
Okay, thank you. The word
You
physics
are audible.
comes from a Greek word meaning nature, ma'am. Physics and nature are irredivisible. The physics phenomena which is happened in nature can explain briefly via scientists. Now in this poster, I would like to discuss about some physics phenomena which are experienced by me and need to be experienced by other physicists or people. First, we have to see solar and lunar eclipse. These are the most famous phenomena between peoples. The solar eclipse happens while the moon passes between sun and the earth. The shadow of moon hide the sun. The solar eclipse divided into three parts: annular, partial, and total solar eclipse. Depending upon the position, relative position of the moon, three types of solar eclipse happen. After 15 days, the lunar eclipse happens. The shadow of earth hides the moon's surface, then the lunar eclipse happens. In olden days, there are lots of conspiracy theories regarding these solar and the lunar eclipses, but nowadays people got idea about the physics phenomena and the planetary motion, and the lots of conspiracy theories were abandoned. And the next topics: glaciers freezing and the thawing. While there's in polar regions, the rocks filled with water, the cracks in rocks filled with water. While it cold season, the water freezes, then the ice compresses the rocks and makes more cracks in the rock. Then the hot when hello. And then acoustic.
Divakar, your time up.
Okay.
Hello, Divakar.
Okay, thank you.
Your time up. Thank you. Keetana is there? Hello, Keetana. Keetana. Next participant, Sarmila is there? Next participant, Sharmila.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible. Please start your presentation.
Okay.
Your time start.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, all. Here we are for the banner podcast event. Initially, everything is theoretically impossible until it is done, goes the famous saying by Stephen Hawking. Usually, we have used it to express the admiring concept or in the physics behind the nature. What I have observed is the nonlinear dynamics. Initially, dynamics is a branch of physics which deals also with the mechanics. Here, Gauss theory. Gauss theory means the butterfly effect, which is the sensitive dependence on initial condition in which a small change in one state of a deterministic nature of nonlinear system can result in large difference. So dynamics is a branch of physical and science, and it is also a subdivision of mechanics. It is concerned with the motion of material object in relation to the physical factors that affects them. So what the definition means is a property of chaotic system such as an atmosphere by which small changes in initial condition can lead to a large scale and unpredictable variation in the future, which means the state of the system. So here what the butterfly effect means, the small variation of the initial condition of dynamical system.
Sharmila, your time's up.
Okay, thank you.
Sharmila,
Thank you.
your
Thank
time's
you.
up.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mukesh Khanna,
Ma'am.
are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Your time starts now.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, everyone. I'm Mukesh Khanna from PHYSIKO College. I'm going to present my poster, the thermodynamics. What is thermodynamics? Thermodynamics science is the relationship between heat works, temperature, and energy in both terms. Thermodynamics deal with the transfer of energy from the place to another form of the another. To key concept that the heat form of energy corresponding the definite amount of mechanical work. Heat was the recognized from the form of energy until about 1900 and 1798. The most important law of thermodynamics are the four laws: zero laws, first law, second laws, third laws. There are two systems each other with thermal equilibrium. The first two systems is the thermal equilibrium with each other. The properly made meaningful using thermometer as the third systems is the definition as the temperature scale. The first law of thermodynamics, the law of conservation of energy. The change is a system's internal energy equal to difference between heat added to the systems from the surroundings.
Mukesh Khanna,
Ma'am?
your time's up.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Chitra.
Monty question.
Next,
Good
Chitra.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here,
Good
ma'am.
morning. Please
Can I
start
start,
your
ma'am?
presentation. Yes, please start your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning to everyone. My presentation is NATURO PHYSIKO. First of all, the word physics is derived from the ancient Greek word physik, which means the knowledge of nature. Here it is confirmed that behind every nature there is a physics hidden in it. And I am here given the three physical phenomena which I admire the most, ma'am. First, desert dunes. We all have seen the deserts with the dunes of up and highs, and we all admire how it was there. Now, the group of physicists in Algeria and USA suggests the topology of the desert landscapes is governed by the thickness of the above atmospheric layer by the expedition of the Algerian air, which is called a sand sea. They said that the signs of the giant dews are limited by the overall stabilizing influence of the free atmosphere. Thicker the atmospheric boundary layer, larger the distance between the neighboring giant dews. This is how the giant dunes are arranged. This was the result given by them. And then Northern Lights. As the sky watcher, I love Northern Lights, and it was also known as Aurora Polarites and Aurora Polaris. Yes, ma'am.
Time's up.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Next participant, Aishwarya, is there? Aishwarya,
Yes, ma'am. I'm present. Yes, ma'am. Can I start?
start your
Ma'am,
presentation.
can I start, ma'am?
Start your presentation.
Good morning to one and all. Yeah, ma'am. Good morning to one and all present here. The more we explore the physics, the more we define. Today, I'm going to talk about the T rays, which is present in the band of EM radiation. T rays lies between microwave radiation and infrared. T rays are all generally called as sub-millimeter radiation. The frequency of T rays is between 0.3 Hz to 3 terahertz. The wavelength of T rays spans between 1 millimeter to 100 macrometer. T rays are generally harmless when it compared to X-rays. It is also characterized for skin conditions, which is actually useful for testing many diseases called psoriasis. I'm going to talk about astrobals. Generally, astrobals are between Jupiter and Mars. Due to the Jupiter's gravitational force, the asteroids are not here destroying our planets. And if the belt asteroid follows a slightly elliptical path as orbits the sun in the same direction as planets. Boyle's law. The pressure of the gas decreases as the volume of the container increases.
Aishwarya, your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next participant, Karuna Sagar is there. Karuna
Yes, ma'am.
Sagar, please
Yes,
start
ma'am.
your presentation. Your time.
A very pleasant good morning to all. I am Karna Sagar from third physics of GT Arts College. As per the topic, I had chosen three concepts of physics, which were begin nature phenomena, nature occurrences. And the first one is science of the upward pointing flame. We might have noticed that candle, the flame of the candle always this is because the air will get heated, means that the hotter air rises upwards, and this is the reason why the candle always points. And next, I'll go with the third one. Insects on the water surface. We may have seen insects like mosquitoes standing on the surface of water. This is because of the property known as surface tension. The molecules which were inside will be attracted by the next molecule, which were attracted by the molecules to the which were the next in all directions. But the molecules on the surface will not be attracted from top because there were no molecules on the top. Due to this, it will experience a force, external force from the top, which pulls the water surface downwards, and due to that, the first layer will come closer to the second layer and appears to have large number of molecules.
Karuna Sagar,
Ma'am.
your time.
Ma'am.
Your time, okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Shivaram, next participant. Shivaram.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please start your presentation.
Actually, I have made this poster on the basis of symmetry, which includes equal halves both on left and right side, which I have denoted by a dotted line in the center. Firstly, let me say the reason of using rainbow as the background of my poster. It is because of the concept of splitting of light. Now let me explain my poster from the bottom, where I have given a black hole. It is because that we all know that the universe began from a black hole, by which Big Bang theory, which resulted in the formation of the four basic forces. As a result of that, the five states of matter were aroused. And in the remaining part of rainbow, I have given the following physics concepts, which includes force, light, dynamics, sound waves, electricity, relativity, thermodynamics, and nuclear physics. On the middle of the rainbow, I have given something about cosmic tug of war, which explains dark matter and dark energy or counterbalance. Below that, I have given something about the color of sky during noon and morning. Above this, I have given Oklo Natural Nuclear Reactor, which is situated in Africa. Then I have equally divided my left and right side of the posters with solar eclipse and Kepler's law, which is counterbalanced with Newton's law and lunar eclipse. The left side includes dark matter, solar halo, and conservation of momentum, which is counterbalanced by dark energy, lunar halo, and conservation of energy. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for your presentation. Next participant. Participant Ranjit is there.
Yes, ma'am.
Please start your presentation.
Hello,
Your time
everyone.
starts.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to present my poster on the topic of centripetal force. Basically, centripetal force is a net force that acts on an object to keep it moving along in a circular path. We all know Newton's first law tells us that an object will continue moving along a straight path unless acted on by an external force. The external force here is the centripetal force. Centripetal force acts on our daily life in turning a car, discus throw, washing machine, salad spinner, satellites, etc. Also, our Earth is an example of centripetal force. The centripetal force of gravity forces the Earth to revolve in an elliptical path around the Sun. Thank you, ma'am.
Ranjit, thank you for your presentation. Next participant, Sendil Kumar is there. Sendil Kumar. Sendil Kumar.
மறுக்குது அது போல சின்னதாங்களா
Next participant, Jayashree is there.
இது கிறிஸ்டியன் சொல்லுங்க
Jayashree.
ஒரு அப்படியே இது வேணாம்.
Yes, ma'am.
Jayashree. Jayashree.
இந்த பாடம் எப்படி பார்த்தா?
Please start your presentation.
Okay, ma'am. Tides are the horizontal flow of water. Tides are cast by tidal force. Per day, we can see high tides and low tides. In a month, we can see neap tides.
need tides. Everybody will, in the water level gets stretched at end and squeezed at center. No, gravity of earth and results of tangential force, which creates a number of force. These forces sums up and creates a bulge of water called a tidal bulge. It was like giving pressure around the pimple and getting bulge on the force. Likewise, tides forms and acts like this. Everybody will misunderstand tides with waves. Waves are a horizontal movement of ocean, but tides are vertical movement of oceans. This is a wonderful natural phenomena. We take decades to explain this. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jayashree, for your wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next participant, Shiva Prakash. Shiva Prakash.
I am Shiva Prakash from Tamil College. The birds can fly under the law of Bernoulli's principle. The birds fly using the air pressure. The pushing the force to create the wings or lift. This is achieved by the physical law known as Bernoulli's principle. The Daniel Bernoulli, an 18th century mathematician, discovering the air pressure. The speed is increased, the air pressure is lower. The bird's wings are specially designed as the airfoil, which is basic principle used by the birds for flying. As the air moves faster over the top of the wings and pressure is diminished relative to that undersides, and the birds are gains or lifts under the law of Bernoulli's principle. According to the Newton mechanism based on the mass of flow of rate, the birds are fly by the pushing the air flow downwards. Especially, the birds' wings are passing through the mass of the air each second, that they are accelerating the velocity downward. The functions of the bird's flights are similarly to those of the aircraft, in which the aerodynamical force, the sustainable flights are lifting and drag, and the lift the force is produced by the actions of the airflow on the wings, which is an airfoil. In the case of airfoil, the wings, the force are resolved in two components, lift and drag. The lift is the component of...
Thanks. Next participant, Narayan and Bharatian.
Yes, ma'am.
Please start your presentation.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. First of all, thanks for all higher officials to give this wonderful opportunity to me. Now, today we're going to see about the aurora. Aurora is one of the nature which is created by physics. Aurora is the result of the colliding of the sun's charged particles with Earth atmosphere ions and the resultant in the emission of light that is called aurora. This happens only in the poles of the Earth. This is due to the deflection of a sun's particles caused by Earth's magnetic field. In this one, the physics involved and can be explained by reflection, refraction, and quantum mechanism. Reflection means same atomic atmospheric molecule reflected sun rays. Refraction, same atmospheric molecules reflected sun's light. Okay, and then it is founded in 1627 by French scientist Pierre Gassendi. The aurora means Roman woman's god. It can visible in countries like Iceland, Greenland. Yes, ma'am.
Your time, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Next participant, Bhunesh.
Good morning, ma'am. I am A. Bhunesh from Jairaj Annabhagyam College for Women Autonomous Curriculum. I am going to explain about... Ma'am?
Start your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I am A. in College for Women Autonomous Curriculum. I am going to explain about NATURO PHYSIKO in our mother tongue. First one is neutron star. Neutron star density வந்து எப்பயுமே அதிகமா தான் இருக்கும். இந்த நியூட்ரான் ஸ்டார் வந்து ஸ்ப்ரிங் ஆகுறப்போ அதோட சென்டர் பாயிண்ட்ல நியூக்ளியஸ் ஃபியூஷன் வந்து நடக்குது. அப்புறம் அவுட்டர் லேயர்ல வந்து கிராவிட்டி பிரஷர் நடக்குது. இதனால ஒரு டேபிள் ஸ்பூன் நியூட்ரான் ஸ்டார் கூட 1 பில்லியன் டன்ஸ் வெயிட்ல இருக்கும். செகண்ட் ஒன் இஸ் ஈஃபில் டவர். சம்மர் சீசன் வந்து டெம்பரேச்சர் அதிகமா இருக்கனால அதோட ஹைட் வந்து இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகுது. அதுக்கு இது அந்த பிசிக்கல் ஃபினாமினா இஸ் கால்ட் தெர்மல் எக்ஸ்ப்ளோஷன். நெக்ஸ்ட் ஒன் இஸ் ரெயின்போ. ரெயின்போட பேசிக் கான்செப்ட் வந்து ரிஃப்ளெக்ஷன் அண்ட் ரீஃப்ராக்ஷன். ரெயின்போ சன்லைட் வந்து வாட்டர் மாலிகுல்ல படும்போது அது வந்து 7 கலர்ஸ்ல வந்து நமக்கு ரிஃப்ராக்ட் ஆகுது. இதுக்கு வந்து எக்ஸாம்பிள் வந்து பிரிசம் அண்ட் ஸ்பெக்ட்ரம். லாஸ்ட் ஒன் இஸ் ஆஸ்திரேலியா. டெக்டானிக் பிளேஸ், அதாவது கண்ட நகரம் என்பது ஒவ்வொரு வருஷத்துக்கும் ஆஸ்திரேலியா வந்து 7 சென்டிமீட்டர் நார்த் போல் சைடு மூவ் ஆகுது. வேர்ல்ட்ல இருக்க 7 பிளேஸ்ல ஆஸ்திரேலியா ரொம்ப தேங்க்யூ.
Next participant, Sneh Priya. Sneh Priya. Next participant, Saranya.
Yes, ma'am.
Start your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. நான் எடுத்திருக்க டாபிக் வந்து கலர் ஆஃப் த சன். சன்னோட கலர் என்னன்னு கேட்டோம்னா நம்ம வந்து எல்லோ கலர் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். சன்னோட கலர் வந்து ஒரிஜினலாகவே எல்லோ கலர் கிடையாது. அதோட கலர் வந்து ஒயிட். ஒயிட்ன்றது ரெயின்போட 7 கலர் சேர்ந்தது தான் ஒயிட் கலர் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். அதில் வந்து ஏன் எல்லோ கலர் தெரியுதுன்னா நம்மளோட 7 கலர்ஸில் எல்லோ வந்து ஹையஸ்ட் வேவ்லென்த்தாக இருக்கனால அது வந்து நமக்கு எல்லோ கலர் வந்து தெரியுது. மிச்சம் எல்லா கலரும் இருக்குது, ஆனால் அது வந்து லோயஸ்ட் வேவ்லென்த்தாக இருக்கனால நம்ம கண்ணுக்கு தெரியலை. ஹைட்ரஜன் அண்ட் ஹீலியம் ஆட்டம்ல நடக்கிற நியூக்ளியர் ஃபிஷன் மூலமா நமக்கு கிடைக்கிற போட்டான் எனர்ஜி தான் சன்லைட் அப்படின்னு நம்ம ஃபீல் பண்றோம். எலக்ட்ரோ மேக்னெட்டிக், அதுல இருக்கக்கூடிய எலக்ட்ரோ மேக்னெட்டிக் வேவ்ஸ், காமா ரேஸ், ரேடியோ வேவ்ஸ், மைக்ரோவேவ்ஸ், இன்ஃப்ராரெட் வேவ்ஸ், யூவி ரேஸ், விசிபிள் லைட், இதெல்லாம் நம்ம எர்த்தை வந்து ரீச் பண்ணுது. அதுல நான் அயனைஸ்டு ரேஸ்ன்னு சொல்லக்கூடிய யூவி ரேஸ் வந்து நம்ம அட்மாஸ்பியர் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஓசோன் லேயரை வந்து ஃபில்டர் பண்ணி கிடைக்குது. அப்போ அதனாலதான் நம்ம சன்செட் ஆகும்போது அது வந்து டைரக்டா கிடைக்கும் போது நமக்கு வந்து சன்செட் வந்து சன்ஷைன் ஆகுற மாதிரி தெரியுது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இதுக்கு வந்து ப்ரிசத்தை வந்து நம்ம எடுத்துக்கலாம். ப்ரிசம் எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்ட் வந்து பார்க்க ஒயிட் கலர்ல நம்ம வைப்போம். ஸ்பெக்ட்ரோஸ்கோப் மூலமா பார்க்கும்போது நமக்கு 7 ரெயின்போஸ் கலர்ஸும் தெரியும். எஸ் மேம்.
Next participant, Mohammed Ali.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning to all. So here we are seeing that how to the quantum mechanics use the bats migrations. A research team led by the scientists from the University of Oldenburg in Germany and Oxford University, they found the cryptochrome 4 in the bats' retinas. The properties are served as the birds. They maintain the sensor, the proteins particles in the chemical reactions. So they found the chemical reactions on this the computer. The reaction will change the shape and the compositions of the properties involved in the motions of the single electron. It means we are in the real of the quantum mechanics. So the electrons are shared the orbits rather in revolving around it. So we are all know that the electron spin in every atom satisfy the Pauli's exclusions, the principle. In this principle, if electrons one spin up, the electron 2 is supposed to the spin down. So these electrons come to the parallel stage. When a stream of light or photon comes into contact with the pair of electrons, these electrons could separate due to the energy of